Greetings, Arts Beatniks. It's the KC Arts Beat Report. I'm Patrick Neas. If you love chamber music and early music and all kinds of great music, you want to stay tuned because we're going to be telling you about a season coming up next year that'll blow your mind. And we're going to get to that in just a second. But first, I want to tell you this episode, by the way, is sponsored by the Friends of Chamber Music and also by Get Well KC. And also, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and subscribe to our Substack at kcartsbeat.substack.com. Now it's time to say hello to our good friend Dmitri Atapine, who, with his wife, Hayen Park, are co-directors, co-artistic directors of the Friends of Chamber Music. Dmitri, it's always great to talk to you, especially when you tell us about your new season.
Thank you so much for having me on, Patrick. It's a pleasure to talk with you and to share all the beauty of chamber music with all of your listeners.
As I said at the top, uh, people who like chamber music or early music and piano, I have to ask you, Dimitri, what in your mind is chamber music? Because I think for a lot of people, when they hear chamber music, they think of a string quartet and that's it.
That's right. That's right. Well, Patrick, I will share uh, with a big bias of being a chamber musician myself, that first and foremost, the chamber music happens to be one of the most engaging, one of the most inviting, one of the most cherished art forms that humanity have ever created. And it boils down to a smaller ensemble, people who come together to perform for the love of being together, and for the love to sharing something with each other. I'm talking about artists, but I'm also including in this the audience. When a great composer turns their attention to the great art forms of chamber music, such as we can go to even distill it down to a pure sonata, which is a conversation between two people, a duo, a piano trio, a string quartet, a wind quintets, and all sorts of combinations of conductorless ensembles. When you really boil down to why do people keep doing this, I think that for a composer, it can express some of the most inner thoughts, some of the most intimate feelings from their own mind. It can also give them an incredible flight to their imagination because they're unconstrained by practicalities of larger productions, such as how many singers will be on stage and how much orchestra can they fit into the whole. This is music that's designed for a private room, for a salon, for a chamber. That's why it's called chamber music. And so the composers are bold to explore their most inner thoughts and their boldest ideas in this repertoire. And the musicians, the artists that come together to perform these ideas, I think we are very moved by this beautiful art form where we give our full undivided attention to our colleague on stage, and that we feel free to throw a line at them in a certain way, and that line can be transformed and passed back to us. It's almost like watching a theater play where actors and actresses respond to each other, adapt to each other, react to the timing, to the phrasing, to the little intricacy of delivery. And so chamber music performance, I always liken it to observing for an audience is like observing a tennis match, right? There's a lot of individuality. There's a lot of little intricacies of how who turns the racket and whatnot, how they spin the ball. And there's incredible fun in observing those little details that often get overlooked in larger production, in larger performances where things are about mass and about gravity and about kind of awe-inspiring productions. But chamber music also can reach that symphonic scale and in its expression, in its passion, in its breadth. So yes, limitless possibilities distilled to most intricate and most immediately reactive, so to say, um, uh, essence.
Well, stay tuned because you're going to hear how all of this plays into the upcoming season by the Friends of Chamber Music. But before we get to that, Dimitri, why is chamber music important for a community? I mean, everybody talks about, the importance of having a civic orchestra or an opera company or a ballet company. Why is it important to have an organization like yours that presents chamber music in its great variety as you just described it?
Patrick, I have to say that Kansas City is very fortunate in having these incredible artistic organizations, to having the lyric opera, the ballet, the symphony, the museum, the Nelson Acton Museum, and so many other museums. Uh, this is a direct and unambiguous result of the passion and dedication to art that is present in our community. Uh, to have uh, a chamber music organization like the Friends of Chamber Music entering our 51st season, 51 years of music shared with our community, with our loving audience. It's truly a jewel in the crown of these arts organizations. Not every community has access to world-class chamber music, and yet, as I described earlier, uh, it being one of the most transformative art forms that I know of, uh, this is not just an addition, not just some sort of a secondary afterthought, but maybe actually the result of such rich, invested, and passionate artistic life that the city lives. I will also add that chamber music is so much more than a purely a presentation of concerts. What we can achieve because of our smaller scale is sometimes we bring artists from all over the world, some of the top performers, top soloists who come together and have a great fun on stage playing with each other. You can imagine that every single performance at that caliber, at that level, is really a kind of a party, a party on stage of great artists exchanging ideas, kind of a melting pot of unexpected performances. So every performance is always very unique because the fun is in the little differences. I can also say that chamber music is an incredible art form towards young people. This is something that brings, when a young ensemble comes together to perform a string quartet, when they discover for the first time their ability to influence each other, to cooperate, to synthesize ideas, to make those ideas their own, it brings them to a level of understanding of what human community can do, and interaction between human beings. It's not just chamber music, and it's not just playing the violin, but it's also knowing how to be a better member of the society. That's why at the Friends of Chamber Music we started a program called the Young Artists Project, and one of our most of most happy news is that one of our groups, the Sura String Quartet, just participated in the Juilliard String Quartet seminar in New York City, where four kids, I dare say, have gone to New York and worked with this world-class string quartet, and they've been nurtured right here under the wing of Friends of Chamber Music, because we really believe in this personal touch, in this relationship building between future generations, current generations, beautiful art form that is designed to bring people together in conversation. And our world needs that more than ever.
Absolutely. Well, people are eagerly awaiting to hear about the new season, so let's get into it. Now, you always have you don't just, string a bunch of concerts together. You put a lot of thought behind your season, and this season is called Landscapes. How'd you come up
Yes.
with this theme?
Well, I have to say that one of the things that Heian and myself agonize every year is to make sure that every single concert in our series is like a chapter of a beautiful book. It's a meeting and greeting between us and our audience, and so that on one hand, the audience feels compelled to explore things that they have never heard before alongside some of the most familiar repertoire, and they trust us to present this incredible music to them, but also that there's a sense of progression from the beginning of the season to the end. Landscapes has been built, uh, discovering the different affects, the different vistas that chamber music can transmit to our audience. And just as a general kind of overview, trickling here and there, I can tell you that our opening concert, American Landscapes, is celebrating the 250th anniversary of the nation, and we're looking at composers such as Dvorak, who came here and was tasked with bringing American music to the forefront, alongside works by Samuel Barber and Amy Beach, an overlooked genius composer of the early 20th century. On the other hand, we have a concert with Gabriela Montero, who's exploring the landscapes of Spain. The Jupiter Ensemble, who's coming and giving us a wonderful land of Baroque Amazon legends and whatnot. We have an overview of the Klavierstücke miniature, piano miniature by Sir Stephen Huff. We have exploration of Manila and the compositions drawn dedicated to the Cathedral of Manila by Francisco Guerrero with Capella Pratensis and Pifaro. So as you can see, the vastness of landscapes uh, that we get to touch throughout the season, from the Philippines to Spain to the Amazon to America to Europe, of course. It's so varied in its and it's so eclectic in the sense, but also gives us this incredible whirlwind around the world, and unified by the idea of journey and discovery.
And I tell you what, Dimitri, you are so enthusiastic. You're the kind of travel tour guide I'd want on a tour of all these landscapes. And you know, your wife, Hayan, is a pianist, and you are a cellist, and you
Yes.
pop up. I don't know how many times on the season, but I know you're in that opening concert, American Landscapes. Uh,
Yes. Yes, we try, Heian and I try to always stay in the rear of the hall more than on the front of the hall, because as you know, Patrick, the preciousness of this is always about the music, and it's not about the individual artists, but it's about the repertoire that we cover. But we're very proud of our first concert, American Landscapes. As I mentioned, it has the first piece by Samuel Barber, his Opus 1, Serenade for String Quartet, very rarely heard, the budding voice of a young composer. We have the Piano Quintet by Amy Beach, which is an absolute romantic masterpiece. It is more profound than some of the deepest Gabriel Fauré you would hear. There's resonances with Brahms, and yet there's also this incredibly unique voice that she's developing, against a lot of the difficulties and fate of making her voice even known in her own city. And then we have, of course, the masterpiece, the string quintet in E flat major, The American by Antonin Dvorak, an incredible array of artists. Kansas City's very own Scott Leon viola, as well as former violist of the Pacifica Quartet, Masumi Rostad, Dambium and Chad Hoops on violin, foremost soloists, and then the two of us supporting this ensemble, Dmitri Atapine on cello and Ham Park on piano, exploring all these American landscapes.
Yeah, so that's going to be Saturday, September the 19th at the Folly. So And that's what's going to open the season. You have so much. I'm just scrolling through my iPad here. You have so much going on. We don't have time to even get into, a fraction of it, but we want to hit some highlights. And
Yes,
part of any Friends of Chamber Music season is a great pianist. You mentioned
yes,
Gabriel Montero and also Stephen Huff.
yes.
What can you tell us about those two?
Yes, so Gabriela Montero is a Venezuelan-born uh, incredible pianist who was also trained in England and is in the world circuit, one of the foremost soloists with leading orchestras. She is bringing us a spellbinding program of Spanish music. You will have sonatas by Padre Soler, Scarlatti, Albeniz, Alicia de la Rocha, who we know as a pianist, but she's also a wonderful composer, and so much more. Even works by Chopin and Liszt, influenced by Spanish traditions. So that will be a spectacular performance.
That jumped
And
out at me because, when we go to piano recitals, we often hear, the big Germanic composers.
that's right.
But people don't, I think a lot of people don't realize the rich piano literature that came out of Latin America and Spain.
Absolutely. And I have to say that in general, the vastness of repertoire that the pianists are famous for. No wonder it's the king of instruments. That's why the piano recital is a form that we want to champion. Sir Stephen Hoff is one of the most widely regarded, important, distinctive pianists of his generation. And not only a pianist, he's also a rare musical polymath. He's acclaimed as pianist, composer, writer, painter, and an intellectual voice in general. He was the first classical performer to be awarded the MacArthur Fellowship, and he has been knighted, as you
Wow.
can understand from the word Sir before Stephen. So
Yeah.
Sir Stephen also is an incredible composer, and I will actually share with you that this summer I will be listening to his piano quintet live, and I'm so excited to be part of just witnessing that performance. For his concert in Kansas City, he will explore the art of the miniature. I mentioned the Klavierstück, and we will travel boldly from the likes of Germanic tradition of Schubert, Brahms, Schoenberg, in the land of Stockhausen. And of course, Beethoven bagatelles will be referenced. But then there's two pieces that I'm really passionate about, actually. The Schumann's Carnival, which is an incredible array of miniatures, and then the Mary Poppins Suite by Sherman in the arrangement of Sir Stephen Hoff himself. So this is a bold and traveling program.
Well, I don't know. Americans have all grown up with Mary Poppins, and all I can say to that concert is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Oh
So,
my God, there you got it.
yes.
Yes, absolutely.
One of
Um,
my favorite parts of any Friends of Chamber Music season is the early music. Because
yes,
again, who's going to present early music ensembles from all over the world if it's not going to be the Friends? And you guys
yes.
do such a great job with that. Can you tell us about a couple of things coming up that really are standouts to you?
Well, I already mentioned to you the Jupiter Ensemble and the Capella Pratensis and Piffer collaboration. Those two are going to be spectacular, and they're bringing the world of instrumental early music to our age. I'm in particular excited about this Mass from Manila concert, but two more programs are also standouts for me. One, in December, we're bringing to Kansas City one, two, three, four, five, six, seven artists from across the world, including Kenneth Weiss, one of the foremost experts on harpsichord and on Baroque repertoire in general. And we are sharing with our audience Bach's musical offering, which is this incredible compendium of contrapunctual invention, one of the most profound and intellectually revealing works that Bach has ever composed. But not only it's works by Johann Sebastian Bach, but this work is paired with works by his children. J.C. Bach, C.P.E. Bach, and W.F. Bach. We have a Fantasia by C.P.E. Bach, a chorale prelude by W.F. Bach, and a quintet by J.C. Bach, all sons of Bach, all of his musical offering to the world, both both through the lineage of great composers and through the lineage of his incredible contrapuntal ability. And then we also bring to Kansas City the duo of Teotim Langlois de Swart and Thomas Dumford, the great violinist and the great lutenist, who might be covering repertoire from early music all the way to uh, present day. So we will see where those two young, bright, and engaging artists will take us in our journey through the landscapes of early music.
And you
Oh,
also,
I must not forget the great a cappella ensemble,
I was
Voces
about to say
8.
them,
Yes,
Voces 8. Yes, could
Voces
not,
8.
we wouldn't forget them.
That's right. So we're very happy to bringing them back to Kansas City for their second appearance on our series.
And that was
And
so that your their last appearance was just a knockout.
exactly. So we can't wait to top our own records.
Yes, that's October 3rd. That's at Village Presbyterian Church. Any idea what they're going to be doing yet?
We have a sense of a program that will mostly concentrate on early music. They will be performing works by Croce, Purcell, Mendelssohn, Casals, Lottie, Gibbons, so much of what they do so well. So I'm very much looking forward to this performance. And the title of the concert will be Towards Paradise. And so we want to transport our audience into this beautiful landscape of the paradise and remain there for the rest of the season.
Yes, absolutely. I tell you, this is the ultimate travel package. How
That's
many
right.
travel packages include paradise, you know? Well, this is going to be awesome, Dimitri. How about just one more to leave us with?
Well, why don't I just tell you a little bit about a few other ones because there is a connecting thread too. We have with us on the chamber music firmament the great Modigliani Quartet in October. We will also welcome the Espressivo Piano Quartet in February, as well as the Balverde Quartet with New Horizons towards the end of February, and we will finish with the great clarinet quintets of Brahms and Mozart in the hands of the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center on April 24th. You should know, Patrick, that there is also a presentation of traditional repertoire and new music that is thread through the whole season. We will on in October with the Modigliani Quartet. We not only will put in their hands Debussy and Schumann, but also Majatka Amadea, which will be a United States premiere of that 2005 work. There's a co-commission by Noctula Nguyen, one of the foremost U.S. composers in the hands of the Espressivo Piano Quartet. And this is actually a co-commission by the Friends of Chamber Music, 2.5 years into making. We will also present all new music. This is very important for us. The New Horizons with Ballardet Quartet will be performing at the 1900 building, and they will give us a bold new vision of chamber music as an art form that's alive and well. They will be very interesting, very challenging repertoire. But some people have that incredibly spicy taste in music, and we are already gaining some devotees in that. What's important to us is that we present the full array. And you understand the roots of chamber music in Beethoven and Brahms and Mozart, Haydn, and then you can connect to these voices of present day young composers who are actively exploring new terrain, but always rooted in tradition. That connection, that conversation between centuries, and that understanding of our art form as a living, breathing uh, entity is something that is very important to us. So we really hope that all the audience in Kansas City finds something beautiful, something that resonates with them in our beautiful season. And we wish to see many smiles, much applause, and lots of, you know, beautiful communion in this world of chamber music throughout the year.
How could they not? It's just going to be terrific. Dmitri Atapine, thank you so much. He's a cellist, and with his wife, Heian Park, who is a pianist, they are the co-artistic directors of the Friends of Chamber Music. And Dmitri, how can people find out about all of the dates for all of these concerts and everything in depth? Where can they go?
The best place to find us, of course, is on our website, and we have the best website in the world for what we do. It's www.chambermusic.org. www.chambermusic.org. We're also very active on social media, so those who are more comfortable with that kind of thing, find us on Instagram and Facebook. This is something that we wanted to champion this year in particular. We would love to see lots of people come to our concert and then post about it, post about how much they love chamber music, so that we can stay true to our mission, which is make more friends of chamber music.
Perfect. Dimitri, it's always so much fun to talk to you. You know, people think about chamber music, some people think of it as being dry and stuffy. Boy, you sure give the lie to that.
I have to say that I don't know, that news has not reached me yet about dry and stuffy. And since I live and play and love chamber music since I was a little kid, when I was a 4 year old, I was exposed to piano trios played by my parents. I can tell you that just like Mark Twain's death, the news of chamber music not being the greatest art form has been greatly exaggerated. And I think that's another one of my missions and Heian's missions is to make people realize how much fun, how much beauty, and how much communion that music can bring into their lives, so that they can live uplifted and enjoy each other's company. Because chair music is about company and about coming together. So thank you, Patrick, for
Sure,
helping us spread the good word.
you bet. So go to a Friends of Chamber Music concert and above all, have fun at those concerts, which you will.
Yes.
I guarantee you. Well, this has been the KC Arts Beat Report. I hope you can join us next time. I'm Patrick Neese.